All right, next up on the Prep Spotlight and 3-Point Podcast, we have Freeland's boys basketball coach, John Fattal. He's getting ready for his second quarterfinal appearance in the last few years. They'll take on Kingsford Tuesday night. And more importantly, John, getting ready for that March wedding a couple weeks down the road. Congratulations on that. You got yourself a great bride-to-be, and we're looking forward to that down the road.
Thank you, Uncle Ted. Thanks for having me, fellas. Glad to be here. Huge fan.
Yeah. Hey, that's not very often we get that huge fan shout out. We appreciate it. So let's just start with your team. I mean, they are awesome. I love watching them. I mean, I think you guys are now to a 23-3 record. A couple of your key guys are Wilson Huckabee, who's at 99 threes already this year. Tristan Comer, another key contributor. He's your center. I mean, he's got MAC football offers. Start with those two guys and maybe describe some of the other key contributors you guys have on your squad this year.
Well, starting off with Tristan and Wilson. I mean, you're number 3 coaching those guys. It has just been a blast to see how much they've grown up over the past few years, and just being a part of that journey for them has been awesome. Some of the other guys, you have Connor Lasesky, who is, again, a lot of our kids are very similar in the fact that they come from households that a lot is expected of them, and so they're all just, they do exactly what you ask of them. Just so coachable. You got Connor Lasesky, who starts at point guard for us. Tucker Heilman, who was an all-conference player for us. You have Xander Wheatley, who comes off the bench. You have Max Hine, who just a phenomenal athlete. Ross Farrell absolutely can shoot the lights out. And then we have just a handful of other guys that just do exactly what you ask of them every single day.
So going back to, I mean, I look at along your guys' run, some of the key wins you guys had. I mean, a big time win over Frankenmuth, your rival, who I think you only beat him by a combined 5 or 6 points in your 2 previous matchups earlier this season. And for whatever reason, it seems like your teams always seem to play the best ball in March. What's been that turning point honestly, it feels like the last 2 weeks you guys have really taken a step up. Is there anything you can point to as a turning point that's really kind of propelled you guys on this run you're having right now?
As it relates to this year, I think it's just it's Wilson and Tristan's third time doing it. You have Tucker and Connor Lasesky, it's their second time doing it. Right. And then you have some other guys that have played huge roles in baseball in postseason runs, football in postseason runs. So, like, although we have 11 juniors on our team, they are experienced as it relates to postseason play and just playing in bigger environments. You know, they're not just basketball kids, right. And I think that has played a big time role in their growth at this point of the year.
I'll ask one more question and I'll let these guys hop in. I mean, you're talking about how experienced a lot of these players are in your team. I mean, this is your second go around the coach. What lessons have you learned from your first March Madness run back in 2022 that you're now applying to this March Madness run a few years later?
I just have an idea of what the heck I'm doing a little bit more. And so I'm not scrambling, and I'm not, just trying to, I'm not treading water anymore. Like, I can actually breathe. And I think because of that, it has allowed the experience for those kids to be better, just because I can see what they're going through, because I've gone through it as well.
Yeah, Coach, you kind of answered this question already, but we've had a couple other coaches on recently, and I'm curious to hear your answer to this question. Like I said, you kind of already answered it, but so I assume I know what you're going to say. I know you were a multi-sport athlete, you and your brothers, and I'm sure what your dad tried to teach you guys, because I played for him, that the value in playing multiple sports. Do you try and push that on your players? I mean, you don't want to force them, of course, but, encourage, I guess, should be the word. Encourage them to play multiple sports, because how football, basketball, soccer, all those different skills and everything will translate onto the basketball court.
I don't think I've pushed it as much as I should. I don't think I've ever pulled them away from doing it, but just as I've matured in my own ways, you do see the value in it from like a maturity standpoint, and how beneficial that can be, even if you are a serious basketball player. Just you get in these like more pressurized moments, and you've just been there before. And if you are just a one sport kid, even if you are playing basketball at a high level or you're playing football at a high level, there's just something that I think can be said for playing in those highly competitive environments and being able to be yourself in those environments. And there's this tremendous value in that.
Mm-hmm.
And so to answer your question, I've never pulled kids away from or pushed kids away from doing it, but I just, as I've grown up myself, I just see the importance of multi-sport athletes for sure.
Well, you know, Coach, I have a question or a comment first. I love to watch Wilson Huckabee play. I mean, he reminds me, I call him Jimmy Chitwood, man. He just plays nice and calm and relaxed. I mean, he showed some emotion in the last game. I think you made a comment about it in your television interview, but I love the way he plays. He's definitely your go-to guy, Comer, too, and you just got a great team. But my comment is, it's a compliment to your coaching. It's probably a compliment to the kids on your team. I don't know if I've ever seen backups go in the game, you know, when it was time to clear the bench, and they run your offense. They aren't chucking up 3-pointers. They're not playing helter-skelter. They're running the offense. And that stood out to me. That was very impressive. And it also shows not only are they well coached, they get along well, and they understand the concept you're trying to preach, right?
Absolutely. I mean, they practice every single day. And that's something that we tell them is like, you're going in the game. You're not going in the game to hold the basketball. This is your opportunity to play. And so, like I said, we're not dealing with every kid goes through a maturity phase and like buying into their role, whatever that may be. But we have great kids, and they all come from great households where a lot is expected of them. And I think we expect a lot of these kids too. And so when they do go in the game, it's not a BS period in our eyes, and we don't treat it as such. And I don't think anyone in our program treats it as such. And so therefore we hold them to that standard, and they execute.
Well, I even have a follow-up to that. Even your managers, you can see that they're held up to a higher level, and the team appreciates them. I mean, you hoisted the one kid up on the shoulders, the team did. I mean, it was just an awesome sight.
We have some of the best student managers in the state of Michigan. I mean, Jared knows them. I mean, our Ben Hugel he's been a manager for us for 6 years. And then you want to talk about Wilson and Tristan growing up. It has been so cool to see him grow up, and just like they all have jobs. So as soon as they get to the game, and he just gets them, like they just get them done across the board. And it's just cool to see.
This is a bit of a silly question. Ted compared Wilson Huckabee to Jimmy Chitwood. I mean, ironically, I don't exactly look back on you there as exactly Rick Mount, shooting the lights out. But for whatever reason, your teams have always been, lights out from 3-point land. It seems like really since you started coaching. Simply put, why is that?
Nothing that I've done. I can tell you that. Like, Jared, you saw my jump shot. Like, it's not. The guys on the team joke about my jump shot all the time. So it's not anything I've done. I just think that they were taught how to shoot at a young age, and they saw the ball go in at a young age, and therefore it's fun to practice. And so they spend more time doing it. And I think it goes back to Uncle Ted's point is they care about each other. And so they're not afraid to turn down. They fight for great shots every single time down the floor. And so any shot can be a great shot every time. They're never just trying to rush one. And so I think that plays a role, shot selection.
Yeah,
nothing that I've done.
Yeah, no, you give yourself some credit. I mean, I haven't watched your guys' team, but I've heard enough about, the Falcons really ever since you became a coach there. We had you on a few years ago too. But I hear plenty from Ted and Jared about your team to know that you're doing a heck of a job over there. But you're giving your players and the families and everything their, the credit that they deserve. So obviously that's very cool on your part, but you're being very humble. I think you're growing a lot as a head coach. And I wanted to ask you about, again, we had you on a few years ago. Do you ever reflect back and, I don't know, in a sense, like look yourself in the mirror and think like, I think Jared already kind of asked you, but like, where have you grown as a head coach that you can even point to some things that you maybe did 4, 5, 6 years ago that you're like, I don't know why I was doing that. I've changed my ways. Or are you basically kind of, the same guy, just a little older?
I think I look back at my first season, and there are sometimes I don't even want to think about it, just because you just have no idea what you don't know, and how much this can actually. I know it's just high school basketball, but it can absolutely just consume you, and it is humbling. And so that first year, I don't tell those guys I apologize, but I think I wasn't good enough at the beginning at those first couple years for the talent that we had. And I mean,
Right.
yeah, just could have been so much better coming in, and I just didn't know what I didn't know. And I think going back to working for Kyle and then my dad is just, I think that's the biggest thing I learned from those guys, and coaching under them and learning under them is just how to learn. And coaching is just a constant evolution of self-reflection and team reflection and what you do well and what you want your program to stand for. And so there's a lot of different things that I think I have personally just grown up, and it's been fun to just look back. But there are some things that you're just borderline embarrassed about on how you handle things. And I think also, to answer a little bit more directly, is just understanding that even though something like going to the quarterfinal for the second time, yes, I have gone to the quarterfinal before, but it is these kids' first time.
Right.
And I try to not still appreciate that it is brand spanking new for them, and how cool it actually is, the journey that they are going on.
Let me shift it real quick, John, over to a little scouting report. You've had a little bit of time now to look at maybe film of your opponent, Kingsford, out of the UP. What can you tell us and the fans? What can we expect to see from them?
Well, they have a stud. It was Coach LePage's personnel scout, so he knows the kid's name. But I just know the kid is a stud from what I've seen from everything that he's clipped up. He had 44 points in the quarterfinal last year in their loss to Flint Powers. He's going to Lake Superior State. He can shoot it. He's probably the Mr. Basketball of the UP.
Wow.
Outside of that, they have some good athletes that surround him. And another big kid. I think it's a great matchup for us as far as just style, as far as personnel, and I think they can score the basketball too. So it should be fun. Yeah. And then second is a couple things that, I mean, it would be just excuses for them, but I mean, they are in the central time zone. And then with daylight savings time yesterday, and then they are traveling, I think, 4 hours to Gaylord.
Yep.
So, I mean, they got some things kind of stacked against them too.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned Coach LePage. I know you have a pretty good staff with you, Coach LePage, Coach Porter. What can you tell us about some of your assistants? I know that's a deal when it comes to a head coach. I mean, you mentioned that you put a lot of the scouting on Coach LePage for a big time game. I mean, that says a lot about him. What can you tell us about him and then the rest of your staff?
Well, Coach LePage, I knew that there was some help needed after we went to the Breslin that first time with Bryson and Alex and Josh, and I heard that Logan LePage was living going to Saginaw Valley and not living in the area but commuting, and I knew his girlfriend went to Saginaw Valley at the time, and so I asked Lauren. I was like, I need some help, and I know that this guy could be potentially able to live in the area. And basically, kind of with a little bit of her blessing, asked this guy to move into our apartment, live rent free, just to get some coaching help. And he's worked in Freeland now for 3 straight years, and he's finishing up his student teaching now. And just the kids love him; they all connect with him. And then second, we have Mr. Porter, Coach Porter, who is our freshman coach, who again works in the school, and the kids all just love and connect with. And then we also have Jordan Doobie, who has been the head coach at Bay City Central for the past 7 years before last year. And now he's teaching in Freeland. So we have the four of us all see each other every single day, and we see all of the kids every single day, middles from 7th grade through 11th grade. We don't have any seniors other than 2 managers, but we see all of them every day. And so I just think those guys are just all in completely. And it's just been a blessing to have them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We won't keep you much longer, John, but how do you like the move from teaching to being a guidance counselor?
So much better. Yeah, so much better. So 2 days a week I go to elementary school, and then 3 days a week I'm at the middle school. And the kids are, I mean, you get this in the classroom too, but as a counselor, I am always happy to see the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the case when you're teaching them every single day. And then the same is, I'm sure that they're happy to see me walk in the classroom because it's like a little change of pace for what they might be, might be expecting than whoever their teacher is for that hour. But yeah, it's been a blast.
That could be a good play for, depending on how long you stay at Freeland, for future players, for future kids coming up through a program.
Yeah,
you're going to get to know them all the way down to, like you said, elementary. You're going to know these kids for 10 years, 10 plus years, depending on what the situation is. I don't know what your plans are, how long you want to stay at Freeland, but kind of along those lines. And then we'll try and get you out of here, because I know you've got get some rest for tomorrow night's game. I'm curious what your thoughts are on building a program. We talked to Canyon Walker. He's the head coach over at Ovid Elsie, a young kid in his mid-20s. And he kind of said one thing that he appreciates, or that he likes about his team right now, is he's not too far removed from playing. He's not he didn't graduate that long ago, so he can relate to the kids. He's still kind of a similar age. And it makes me think about, yesterday Michigan State played, and one big thing, Izzo obviously is not the same age as his players, but because of the culture and the program that he's built, he still relates to his players. Do you kind of think about that kind of stuff? Like, all right now you're still kind of the young guy, so you can laugh about my jump shot, whatever, stuff like that. But the longer you coach, the farther your age gets away from these high school kids. So is it about building a program so they just come right in and respect you, or is that kind of where your the guidance counselor job kind of comes in?
Well, I definitely think counseling is coaching, and I think that this new job has helped me understand the importance of those one-on-one conversations, and not running from those conversations, whether that be with a parent or an administrator or a kid. And that could be any age group, because that's what the job is. But yeah. I think it's still something I struggle with, and something I have to get better at, is because it is easier to connect with the kids, like you're talking about with Coach Walker, is I need to be better at connecting with the adults that coach those kids.
Oh, right.
And finding ways to, because camps are fun and easy, and the kids will do what you ask them to do. You're playing basketball, but it's getting all the, and not saying that we don't have that, but just being much more organized and much more articulate with how to connect with the adults that coach the younger kids in order to build the program in the correct way, and not just have an occasional class that comes through, but ensuring that every kid in Freeland, every boy in Freeland has an opportunity to potentially be a hooper for us, and not just leaving it to chance. And I think that has to be something I get better at, to be honest.
Cool.
Last thing, rapid fire, 3 questions, then we'll let you go, we promise. Shot clock in high school basketball, yay or nay?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yes, but not for the reason, I'm not, I think the shot clock is better for skill development. It's not really it should, if a shot clock is coming in, I would love to see it be 24 seconds, and just the amount of touches that could happen in a game. That would just be a fun game to be a part of. And
yeah, it would.
And the way basketball kind of should be played.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the skill on the floor, the coaching would get better. I'm not concerned so much with, I think, what the general argument is just worried about holding the basketball. That's part of it. But even the MHSAA did their due diligence, and they said, every game at last year's Final Four, there was one possession that went over 31 seconds. So it's like the game at the highest level
Right.
in the state of Michigan. It's still moving at a decent pace.
Right.
So yes.
All right. Up by 3 with 10 seconds left. The other team has the ball. Do you foul or do you let it play out?
I think you foul now. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, yeah. I definitely think you foul.
I agree with you on that
All right.
one, Coach.
All right, 2 more. Which this is maybe a little bit tougher one to answer quickly, but what's been your proud moment as a coach?
My proudest moment?
Yes.
I think the most proud moment that I have is when those guys get up at like a senior speech at the banquet. And this has been darn near every single senior that I've had the opportunity to coach, is they just go up. And those are when you really find out what these guys are, what they think of the program. It's like they do not they could put in zero work into their speech and it could just fall flat. But just to see and just to have had the opportunity to coach some of these guys and see the effort that they put into some of their senior speeches at the end of this has been my proudest moments. And again, I don't think I've been in it long enough to let the more prouder moments
sink in.
Take place yet, like going to a player's wedding or something like that until you get married, Jared, after coaching you.
All right, last one, then we promise to let you go. You got to get some rest. All right, I don't even know if you watched the Michigan State game yesterday, but I can explain what happened. But if you were coaching Michigan yesterday, if you were Dusty May and your players were standing at midcourt during the Spartans kissing of the center Spartan logo, what would you tell them in the locker room after? Would you be happy with that, or would you have reamed them? What did you think of that situation?
I don't know about ream. I think like the most like John Beeline, what would his guys have done? And I just
they wouldn't have done that.
I love Michigan just as much as you guys do, and that was primetime Michigan basketball, and those players would never have done that. And so I think, and there was just so much respect for Izzo and Beeline, and yeah, I don't think ream would be the right answer, but I just don't know if the right guys are in the maize and blue.
They wouldn't do it again, in other words, is what you're saying.
Probably
right?
not. No. Yeah.
All right. Hey, John, we do appreciate it, Coach. And I know you got to get some rest and get prepared for tomorrow night. You got a long ride to go up to Gaylord yourself. You'll have a lot of Freeland fans for sure there in the Gaylord gym, including Jared and myself and some of the other family for sure. We're looking forward to it. Keep playing good ball, man. I didn't know you could play any better than you did against Frankenmuth, but you came out against Portland, played the same kind of basketball, and just keep it rolling, man.
Thank you, Uncle Ted. Thank you, Matt Burns. Thank you, Jared Fattal. Thank you for having me.
We'll see you later. Good
See
luck.
ya.
Yep.
Yeah.